Hi everybody, it's Pam with Silver and Sparkles, and I have something new to show you. I've never made a journal like this, so I've been working on it off camera, and now I'm ready to kind of talk you through my idea and what I've done, and then we're going to work on it together as well. I think it's going to make sense, but if you really are interested in seeing a video about making this kind of cover, let me know, drop me a comment. We'll talk about it. So let's talk about the cover first. But aren't these pages beautiful? I'm so excited. Okay, I used a lot of packing material. So to start with, I don't do a lot of fabric covered journals, and I like my covers to have some structure. So this one is made of fabric, but then I put some chipboard covered in some pretty paper and sewed it to the inside after I had lined the inside, just so that I have a little more structure to my cover. It's still soft, it's not super hardback or anything. So I took a sheet of material, just a plain piece of material, and I used my Fabrifix, and I just kind of collaged using fabric. And then I also, and I don't think I've done a video on this, and we may have to do that, tell me if you're interested, where you can take paper, whether it's scrapbook paper, digitals, just take a piece and Mod Podge wax paper to the top of it, and then put some Mod Podge over the top of the wax paper, so you make, like, I don't know, a little sandwich. If you print it on just copyweight paper, or if it's a thin scrapbook piece like this, if it's like, a super thin piece of paper, you could Mod Podge this to some cardstock or something. And then anyway, here's one. So here's one. I had printed some of my vintage matte paper just on copyweight paper. So then I Mod Podged it to a piece of actually watercolor paper that I had, a scrap. And then I Mod Podged over top of the map, put the wax paper down, smooth that all out, and then put some Mod Podge on top, and see how it makes it have this really cool feel. It's almost like these almost feel like fabric themselves. Anyway, I did a paint pen around the edge of that one. I don't know what I'm going to do with that yet. Anyway, so I did a couple of those. There's one there, but the rest is fabric scraps that I had. These beautiful pieces, isn't that gorgeous, are from the curtains that my mom made for my aunt's house, like back in the early 90s. And we took down last summer and put up new curtains to give it a fresher look. So I lined it with some of that material as well. Okay, so then I laid it on the sewing machine. I just fun stitched all around all the pieces. And then I picked a liner, like I said, sewed that on. Then I was like, it's got to have structure. I've never done this. And so I may go back to fabric cover journals in different styles. But then I just cut chipboard out, covered it with some scrapbook paper, and then I sewed these in. And I went all the way around at about 1/4 inch, and I realized here near the spine I needed to run another stitch. And I laid the ribbon underneath before I stitched this down, so that eventually I'm going to use this. It may need to be pressed. I don't know. It's a little crazy. But we can have a nice, pretty bow ribbon kind of closure. Okay. So I'm expecting this one to be nice and chunky. So again, if you're interested in this, let me know. It was really an experiment, and so I'm happy so far with how it turned out. The spine is, right at that 2 inches, so it's going to be a nice big one. And then the other thing about this one is it is large, so it's 9.5 inches tall, and this cover is like 7 1/8 inches wide. So regular paper and regular pages would be a little too small. So then I started looking at, I'll show you that one in a second, packing paper. I looked at some of my large envelopes. This is just the brown packing paper. And what I did was, okay, so this is a pocket. Let me get something we can use, like a little journaling card or something. Okay. So I just got the paper to the height that I wanted it, and then I just started playing around. So I decided to fold back a piece to make this pocket. And this is where it will get sewn into the journal. Here's a little flip out. And I just collaged from my scraps. So this is super eclectic. Isn't this one beautiful? This is kind of what I'm envisioning as being the first layer. This one opens like this, flips open there, and there's a pocket back here. Okay, so these will... I'm going to do each of these as their own signature because I envision really embellishing them, maybe layering up some pockets, adding I may even add some additional flips. I don't know. I haven't decided, but because this is all brand new, but I'm going to make each one of these. I've got 5 of them, and they're going to be their own signature in the journal. Okay. This one was made with, this was made with a flat bag. So I lined it with some of this paper that was in my scrap pile. So it's nice and sturdy and feels good. And it's a super deep pocket. And then this one I did with a brown bag, like, you know, and I haven't put anything here because I'm thinking about doing some extra flips. If not, we'll just collage that when we get to it. But I did leave it, again, open. So we have this nice big section. Yeah, excited. Okay, now this one I haven't finished because we're going to work on it together. So this is, again, I wanted you to see. So this is the packing paper. And I just got a nice long piece and cut it to the height that I wanted it based on the height of my journal, right? And then I started folding it. So here, I could sew it in here, and then this could be like a mega big flip out like this. I could glue this together and make it a small flip out, or make it a pocket here and a flip open. We could even fold it back that way, and the flip could be, you know, at this portion. So it really is just going to depend. But collaging, you know, isn't hard, but I am just going to kind of show you my process, and we're going to finish up this page, and then we're going to decide how to get them in this journal. There'll be another part to this video, absolutely, that we really do some heavy embellishing, and I'm thinking more fabrics and beads and buttons and I don't know what, but I'm excited about it. Okay, I think I like the idea of this being a mega big flip because I can always just add pockets to the sections. So I'm going to fold this one over. These are already, you know, covered. And I do have a pile of scraps here. Some are some larger pieces, and then some are some small pieces from where I've been collaging. And so we can pick some papers. I have some of my vintage map here that was printed out, and so now I'm just kind of cutting it up. And I'm thinking I want to use a little portion of this. I usually do pick a place to go ahead and have kind of a larger piece. And I always kind of figure out, okay, what is the height in case I want to do one the full height. So the height of this piece is like right at 9 1/4. So a 9-inch piece wouldn't be bad. So let's see. Is it 9 that way? All right, it is right at 9 inches. So I'm just going to cut maybe a 3-inch section. And I'm actually thinking about putting this one right smack in the middle. Oh, I cut it on the wrong side, didn't I? Ah! I did. It's okay. It's all right. Everything is fixable. So I'm going to, right now, this piece, because I cut it wrong, 8 1/2. I'm going to make it like 7 inches, just because you'll see the method to my madness here in a second. But I'm still going to put it kind of right here in the, like maybe off center, and we'll put some strips here and then collage around it. Again, I do find it, of course, easier to maybe start with a little bit of a larger piece, but I have a lot of scraps. We could do, I mean, they're all different. They're just all different. But it gives all of this packing paper, the flat bag, the brown paper bag. It just all feels so good after you get all these layers on. I meant to go one way or the other a little more, but that's all right. It's okay. I particularly, like this one, I did a large piece. That's from my Opal's Favorite Flower paper kit. I don't know. I just really like how this one turned out too. I thought that was pretty. So, and sometimes I've even then put a piece over top if I felt like it needed to be broken up a little more. Okay. So a lot of times I just start using my ruler and I say, okay, I want a piece that's going to be approximately 2 3/8 wide, and then I can figure out the height. So let's just cut this strip 2 3/8 inches wide, and I may just go ahead and glue it down. I may put it right here. Not really jazzed about that little piece right there, the way, you know, the pattern of the paper ended up. So I'm just gonna cut it off. And I'm really thinking of this as a first layer, so I am trying not to be too obsessive about my selections and just enjoy the process of laying paper down, which I love to do. But, you know, some of it will, of course, will hopefully show. And, like this is a favorite piece of scrapbook paper of mine. I think I probably have a smaller piece even somewhere else, but let's just get a piece. And it was folded. I think I was imagining I was going to make something with it, or I was playing with some things. And that's about the right width. We can make that work. We're just going to put it on here. But it's okay. It has enough structure to it, and I'm layering both sides of the packing paper that little crease won't matter. Now, if we wanted to, I'm not going to. If you wanted to, you could do, you know, just one side of the packing paper and then lay it on your sewing machine if you want to stitch around, and then maybe do the other side without the sewing. Or if you don't care, you know, how it comes through, you could just do squiggles over all the pages if you wanted to sew. You know, there's lots of options. Okay, so if you guys like this idea, I do hope you will give the video a thumbs up. Let me know what you're thinking. That's not the piece that I want to use. Choose a piece of this. And give the video a thumbs up. Let me know if you like it. And if you're going to try to make something similar, I'm going to put like 3 little pieces along this edge. Anyway, because I appreciate it and I love y'all's comments. You guys are so supportive and sweet. So keep them coming. Thank you. Thank you. And this project, I will say, is a little involved. It's kind of like, you know, if you're making a large journal or something, you're going to have to spend a little time with it. But I just think the way the pages look at the end are so fabulous that it's worth the time. That's my opinion. I think it's worth it. So, and sometimes I'm using my trimmer and sometimes I'm just using my ruler. It kind of just, I don't know, whatever's speaking to me at the moment. When I use the ruler, I don't have to focus on the measurements as much, and I can just lay it there and make it fit. Okay. There we are. So, let me know if you guys like doing this kind of collaging. Sometimes when I collage, and in fact, I did it on one of the sheets. Which one did I do it on? I think it was this one. I left the little edges here and made it look that way. And then on the inside, look, this one I just overlapped and I didn't leave the edges. And I like both. I like both. So whatever, again, what do I say? Whatever makes you happy, right? I think that there is opportunity for, you know, both styles of collaging. One of the things, and again, I keep telling myself I'm going to learn how to do it, and I just want to keep playing with paper so I don't take the time, but is how to better edit my videos so that I could show you this process, but then like fast forward it for you, and then we could get on to something else in the video. And since I don't know how to do that, and I'm sure someone will say something, just use your fast forward button. If you don't want to watch this part of the process and hear me chit chat, it won't hurt my feelings. I would rather you do that than leave a snarky comment. So thank you in advance. No, most of you guys do not leave snarky comments. And I've just, again, I don't let it bother me. I try not to talk about it too much, but I've gotten to the point where when I see them, I just hit delete. So, you know, take your time to leave the comment if you want to, but most of them end up getting deleted. Sometimes I leave them and you guys like jump all over the person, which I don't think is probably the happiest of spirits either, right? But I appreciate you guys coming to my defense. All right, I'm going to just lay, I'm going to bring it up here because I want to be able to see the birds some. I'm just going to lay this great big old piece down. And then add some pieces to it in the spirit of using some larger pieces. In fact, let's bring it to this corner. Approximately. There we go. And again, I'm not chopping these up. When I make collage masterboards, I tend to use the glue stick, my favorite glue stick. I tend to use that because I want every little piece glued down because I plan to then chop them up, right? But these are not going to get chopped up. Whoops. And so as long as they're down and the edges and corners aren't flying up on me, I'm okay with it. So it's just easier and less messy for me to use, you know, this glue bottle, which is my favorite PVA glue. It's Line Co brand, and I get it on Amazon. And I promise you guys, I still do use art glitter glue, which is another favorite. It's just a little more expensive, and I'm just a little more, and I have it in this little bottle, selective of when I decide to use it because this works for me. And yeah, so that's what I've been doing because it works for me. Okay, this is going to be that little flip out portion. Let's tear right here, and I'll put this probably, I may put it over here on this side, I don't know. Let's put it over here for now. I don't have to stay working on the exact same section the whole time. When I have one really big piece, I don't usually like to put another like bigger piece right next to it. And since I'm not doing these like traditional pages in a signature, they're going to be their own. You know, I will see what's close. If I sewed this in with a whole stack of signatures like this page and this page, you know, would be separated. So I don't know if that makes sense. So I'm trying to get different shapes and things on each one. And I probably did better on some than others. All right, this piece of paper is part of the scrap of paper I used to cover the inside where I told you I wanted it to be sturdy. And it's thin, but because I have a nice piece of cardstock over here, I can use it as one of the layers. It won't be too thin to hold up. So I wouldn't only use really thin paper as your layers, unless you want your pages, you know, to be really thin. I want mine to be sturdy because, again, I'm envisioning quite a bit of embellishing and layering and all of that. Okay, let's use a piece of this right here. And then I'm going to start probably, I'll piece together some smaller ones for that section up top. Some little squares or rectangles. And again, I'm not worrying that everything is absolutely perfect. I'm okay with, again, this being a junk journal style journal. And that just, to me, means not everything is going to be perfect. And I love that this one in particular is a great scrap buster. Because I can't even, y'all, begin to tell you how crazy my scraps are. And I love using them, and I can't really part with them. You know, that's a thing. If it's a piece, you know, even the size that I think I might be able to use at some point, I just have to keep it or give it to somebody else at least. Occasionally I will go through and purge and take it to the recycle place, but it's rare and it's really hard for me to do that. So this is the perfect project, and I do sometimes, you know, when I'm trying to come up with ideas or, you know, what do I want to do next, I will just sit and make a whole bunch of collage masterboards because it makes me happy, and I know it will, they will get used. So to me, that's better than getting rid of them. And for this kind of project, if you're somebody that makes a lot of collage masterboards, you could probably use those onto some packing paper to make this whole process, you know, if you have them made ahead of time, it would go quite fast, this process. Okay, what do I need? I need some things. I haven't used any of the map on this one. Let's get... All right, so this is where I am going to just go ahead and measure. I want a piece that is maybe a smidge more than 4 1/4 by 1 1/2. So I am going to, get the white trim off of here, and I'm not worrying about what part of this paper I'm getting. I'm just going for it. 4 1/4. Did I say a little smidge of 1 1/2? I can't remember. Yay, it fits. Okay. Everything is piling up on my desk. Okay. Ooh. There we are. So, somebody usually asks when I craft off, like offline, and then kind of show you guys. I don't do it that often, but yeah, I've spent, well, you can imagine, of course, I'm not talking when I'm doing it by myself, but I have spent already hours between the cover itself, because I'm not used to working with fabric as much, and then I like that. Then doing all these pages. So again, I mean, I love this, so it's not a hardship, but you know, if you want a quick project, this is probably not your project, just because, you know, it takes a while. All right, I'm hoping I can eyeball this and get it on there. But yet again, I think it needs another sliver off. I think the end result's going to be worth it. Okay, so just so that I can maybe get a sense, if you guys will play along, of who decided to sit and watch me lay down papers instead of just fast forwarding. And again, no judging if you fast forward it, really, seriously. But if you are listening and watching me do this until we get to the next part of the tutorial, tell me, let's see, let me come up with a fun question. Oh, okay, I know. And again, there's no promises that I can make them, but I love ideas for journal kits. So if you could, or, request to have me make a theme of a journal kit, or like a color palette of a journal kit, if there's like a collage paper color combination you'd like to see, something like that, drop it in the comment and tell me, okay? And bonus points if you have an idea for the name of the kit. But don't feel pressured. The naming kits for me is I'm going to put it this way, one of the hardest things. I'm going to do a strip right along there. So, yeah, let me know what you think. Tell me if you think that's a fun piece. All right, I need something 6 7/8, and it's going to be really skinny, and I realize that's not straight. I'm going to overlap it and do 6 7/8 inches by 1. Let's do by 1. A little piece of this pink, or we could do those. I think the pink is going a little bit better. Not that these have, yeah, I'm just going to let it overlap the bottom of that. Not that everything has to match and everything, but this lavender is pretty. It's just not quite the theme I've been going with. Okay. And now I have another little skinny piece right here. So that may not have been the best choice, but we will persevere. We will. How about that? It kind of goes with the map right there, and we won't even notice it later because it'll probably get covered up. Okay. I don't usually change styles of collaging, like leaving the gap or not leaving the gap in a project, but again, I think this looks just fine, and it covered that up for me. Okay, what do we want to put here? I want to get something that is close to the correct width for this. Oh, maybe part of the umbrella. Wouldn't that be cute? There's a little ridge of paper here where it had been folded at one point, and it's just all not going to lay very flat. Okay, I want this to be 2 3/8 by 3 1/4. 2 3/8 by 3 1/4. 2 3/8 by 3 1/4. Well, I didn't measure or remember what I said correctly. Shoot. Maybe we'll put it here in another strip or something like that. Oh goodness, this is what happens when I've been doing this for a long time and I'm not really focusing as well as I should be. So, whoops. And I didn't even tear that straight. You know what though? We are going to do our best to trim it off, and we're going to just glue it down. This little section obviously wanted to be collaged differently. Yeah, and then we'll just put a strip of something right here. Maybe a little strip of this. All right, what was the height? It was 3 1/4. And this one is going to be not quite 7/8 of an inch. Okay. let's do it this way. Yeah, not quite 7/8 of an inch. That should be okay. And then 3 1/4. No, I messed it up again. What am I doing? What am I doing? 3 3/4. I'm just saying it wrong. 3 3/4. All right, this piece will work. Oh, goodness. Okay. You guys ever do stuff like this to yourself? 3 3/4. You were probably all going, Pam, not 3 1/4, 3 3/4. It's a little bit tight. We're going to put it in here. And then I think I just have one more tiny little section to go and we'll be done. Yeah, there we go. Okay, this section right here, and then we'll double check and make sure I didn't miss anything. So, I need something that is 1 inch wide. Yay, an easy measurement. And then 1, 2, 3, 5 5/8. 1 by 5 5/8. Let's use this. 1 inch. 1 inch by 5 5/8, which I think is right there. Yay! Okay, me and measuring. This is why, if the measurements are important, I do try to leave those for you guys in the description, but this is not something, now, if we decide to do a full series where I show you how to make the cover and all that, I'll give you measurements so you can make yours the same size if you want to. But obviously, when you're collaging, we do not have to do measurements. All right. Oh, wait, one of these was supposed to be a tiny flip, and I collaged over it, didn't I? You know what? Again, it's okay. We can just have this be a big flippy page. So we could sew it in here and then it'll flip out like this. And when we get here, it'll flip out like this. Or we could sew it in on one of the ends and really have it flip out. I doubt I will do that. The other, oh wait, here. Yeah, see, I collaged over where it was going to fold over. It's okay. It's all okay. Yeah, I'm going to leave it like this. All right, now I'm going to try to not do all that flipping on you guys quite so much. We are going to play with the cover and get these signatures sewn in, just because I promised you there would be something else to this video, and we're going to do it. Now, I have shown you guys how to sew in signatures before. This is going to be a touch different because, like I said, each one of these is going to be a signature. And I need to decide what order I want to put them in. Like, what do I want to be? I think I want this one to be in the middle because it's small, significantly smaller. The other ones are, you know, approximately the same size. This one's a little more narrow. Might be fun to make it first so that we see these others peeking out. All right, so then I could do this one as number 3. And then number 4, and then maybe number 5. All right, let's see if we like that. All right, so when we open our journal, guys, my pages are gonna stick out. I told you this was an experiment, and I didn't realize. I think I had planned to not have quite such a big spine, and then the pages, the cover would have been wider. I am gonna let this be this way. and maybe do lace and a bunch of embellishments so that it's just like a really fluffy journal. My ribbon is long enough to accommodate that as well. So we're just gonna keep going and let our pages be wider than the cover. Yes, we are. And I could even add some to the cover, you know, some lace, like, I don't know. I mean, this isn't it, but you know, put some things that extend the cover as well if I decide to. So we'll play with that later. Okay, I'm hoping that I can make one of the templates that I have with a 2-inch spine with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 signatures work for me. Ooh, this one is the perfect height. Look at that. Okay, we're gonna use it. I have shown recently how to make these templates with paper, how to measure, draw the lines, everything. I will do my best to remember to link that video in the description for you guys so you can go back and watch it if you want to make a template so that your signatures get sewn in perfectly, right? This is for, and this is going to have an exposed spine. We're going to see stitching, and that's another thing. I'm not quite sure how this is going to work. And I'm pretty sure it was part of the little Golden Book Journal series, but I will find it. If I forget, just leave me a comment and ask. So once you have your template made, which I'm not going to do on camera right now, I am going to do a 3-hole pamphlet stitch. One thing I do need to check is this short signature. Yes, the holes will grab. It's all 3, so we're good. I don't even remember now how I had these. We may have to look at that again in just a second. Okay, so the first thing you do, I'm trying to be organized and not make you guys crazy, is I'm going to hold my template and I am going to prick the holes where I'm going to sew each of these pages in, and I'm going to call them a signature, but again, they're a single page. It's a little different from anything I've done, and I'm having fun. Okay, we're going to use this to poke the holes in the actual pages as well. But I just go ahead, and it's got to go through the fabric too, but I go ahead then and use this paper piercer to get each hole, you know, pushed all the way through. And there's going to be, like I said, a lot of room if I decide I do want to make this one super shabby chic with all kinds of things. Like I said, I want to maybe even do like some buttons and some jewels, you know, those types of things. Okay, where am I? What did I do? I think we're gonna have to do this over. Okay, I think this was signature 1. Just want to make sure I have them turned and opening the right way too. Okay, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so I always start with the first one. So I'm just going to stack those there. And I'm going to use this template to get my holes where I need them to be. Make sure the T is at the top if you made your template. Now, each page is not the exact height, so I am doing my very best to make sure, and this is where, you know, you just have to kind of go with your gut, I guess. The same little bit of overhang at the top and the bottom. I have it centered, so I'm going to use the center holes to make my pricks. I don't know if you guys realize, you know, I really pushed that in there to make sure it was right there. Now, one thing I did not think about is these are only going to be sewn on, and this is that packing paper, and it is quite thin. And I'm wondering if these are going to tear out when they get heavy because I didn't reinforce this paper. I mean, this part's nice and sturdy because it has all the layers on it. I wonder if we should do some washi tape. What do you guys think? I have some washi tape. Of course I do, right? Sitting here. I think I should. I may not like the aesthetic of it. I wish I had done it and then collaged over it. But I think we need it. I think we need it now. The paper bag will probably be okay. The brown, the thick one, not necessarily the flat one. Okay, I'm just looking at the washi tape. And because this washi tape staying on is going to be very important to me, I'm going to actually add some glue as well. And I'm using a fairly thick piece. Wrap it around. Okay, here we go. A whole nother step to this. Again, if you were just watching and you haven't started crafting, you might, I don't know where my bone folders all went. You might want to do this before you collage. Might be an option. And we'll glue this down. I'm trying to decide, do I need a piece on the inside too? Now, washi tape does fold nicely, and it's not going to add a bunch of bulk. We're not really going to see that much of it. At least I did go with a wide piece. Why don't we go ahead? We will go ahead and do both sides. And then I'm going to have to repoke the holes because I'm not going to be able to see them. All right, there we go. But after all the work I'm putting into this journal, the last thing that I want to have happen is that the pages accidentally pull out because the paper wasn't strong enough that I chose to make my signatures out of. So, no, this is not my piercing tool. That is a pen, a straight pen for my glue. All right, all I'm doing is working the my template back in here, and I'm gonna repoke these holes. All right, now 1, 2, 3. Let's go ahead and sew this one in before I poke the holes for all of those, and I'm going to decide if I'm going to keep sewing on camera or if I will finish sewing the signatures in off camera, then we'll come back to part 2. So the string, I always make approximately 3 times the height of my signature page, and I am going to pick a needle. This one is big enough. It's not one of my great big eye needles that I usually use, but it's nice and sharp because it is going to also have to go through fabric and some cardstock. So I'm using a little bit smaller but sharp needle. Okay, I have my page the way that I want it. I'm going to start on the inside center hole and make sure I am in the first hole on the spine. You can do it, little needle. There we go. All right, now I am going to make sure I don't pull it all the way through, and I'm going to come up the top hole right here. And the top hole, whoa, of my signature. This one, because it's so much bigger, you know, than the ones I usually do, it feels a little different, but that's okay. All right, come on, baby. There we go. All right, now I'm still watching this tail that I don't pull it all the way through. Skip the center hole and come through the bottom hole. And we're going to find the bottom hole in our spine. Okay, we're almost there, y'all. Now, the part that might be a little challenging is when we have to find the holes that are on the fabric, but we can do it. Okay, through the center hole that we've already come through, there's a lot going on with this one. Okay, so I'm through the center hole and then the center hole of my page. And I think we're gonna have success. Come on, little needle. I may have to get my pliers out to grab a hold of it. We're almost there. All right, this is the correct way. I'm gonna just give myself a moment. There we go. Okay, the little needle is sharp, but it is definitely a lot harder to pull through. It's not as strong, I guess is the word. Okay, and now I'm just gonna tie it. I have the tail, one piece to the right underneath the center, one piece to the left. Again, this is the same way. I've done lots of videos on this, but if you're new, this might be new to you. 2, 3. I'm gonna leave these long because I may end up doing fun things. Okay, let's see how we look. So this is the front of our journal, and I want to do a fun cover for the journal too, like topper. The first page, there's a pocket here. It opens like this. There's a flip. There we go. There's a little flip, and then the page. Okay. Now I am going to do the same thing. I'm going to reinforce if it needs it with the washi tape. I'm going to then sew each in, and when we come back, all 5 pages will be sewn in, and with this wax thread, and then we will be off decorating and adding embellishments and just seeing what else I can come up with. So I hope you liked this video. I'm hoping to have the next one recorded so that it's up either before I leave for vacation or while I'm on vacation. If I don't have time, it might be a couple weeks, but we will get back to this one. I promise. I love it, and I'm very excited about it. Okay, I hope you guys are too. Take care and have a great day.